Hello everybody, welcome to UK Gaming Network. Welcome to the Roundup for May 2024. These are going to be the games that we have played this month. And joining me for this video, we have UKGN Pad.
Yo.
And UKGN Teru.
Hello.
It's been possibly the slowest month of the year so far. We've not got as many games as we've had in previous videos to talk about. But as always, let's start with a game that came out in a previous month that we've only just got around to playing. I mentioned at the end of last month's video that I really wanted to play Topspin. Well, a rental copy of it turned up for me, so I did actually get the chance to do so. And it's a pretty decent tennis sim, it must be said. It's not a pick up and play title like Virtual Tennis. Requires a little bit more practice to get good at it. You're not gonna be hitting winners straight away, like in Saga's game. But it's easily the best tennis game that I've played probably in the last 5 years, because the ones that have been coming out have not been that great. And I would imagine this is one that you probably want to play, Pad, as well. But
it's
you
one
won't have got around.
Yeah, I've just not got it, and it's very expensive.
Because tennis games do usually make for a decent video game over the years. So this is, like I say, this is well worth looking and checking out. But I definitely wouldn't buy it at £65, which is the current asking price. So let's move on to the first game of the May releases. This one came out, I think, on the first week of May. I can't remember what the actual date was, but this is Full Metal Sergeant, which came out on PC and Xbox and PlayStation, I think. I'm not sure if there was a Switch version. But I know this is one that we got a key for on the PC, and so I think you played it on Steam, didn't you, Teru?
I did, yeah. I even did a video for it. It's a very basic game, but it has nailed the one more go feeling. Because you are a sergeant, you are training your soldiers up from cadets to whatever specialization it is, and then you send them out on a mission at the end of a 12-week cycle. You get to play the missions. It's still very all basic and like go left, right, make your choices, and just small decisions like that. But it all pays off, and it's like at every 12 weeks, it's like you start again from scratch with new cadets. Only you have access to better training facilities, which allow them to increase the soldier stats. So it does really well at getting that one more go feeling.
It definitely looks like it's one of those games where you shouldn't be put off by how basic it looks in screenshots.
Definitely not, no.
And I had read somewhere that this was a game that was not for the faint of heart if you're not somebody who likes a bit of bad language. But I've not really heard too much about
that. Yeah, the so-called bad language. I've not unlocked it yet, but it's completely optional, and you can turn it on and off, I believe. But yeah, you've got to unlock the bad language, which is an incentive, but it also kind of feels like it defeats kind of the point of it.
Well, I also can't see it being as funny as Ali Ermi in Full Metal Jacket either. So,
probably not, no. Not unless they've got permission to rip the lines straight from that IP.
Next up, we have a game that came out on the 9th of May, Little Kitty, Big City. This came out straight to Game Pass on the Xbox, but I believe there is a PC version as well. And yes, it did also come out on the Nintendo Switch, but not PlayStation, apparently. This sees you take control of a cute little kitty that's fallen out of the window of its apartment block, and basically has to make his way home by interacting with all the other animals on the street below. And if there was a game that would define the word cute, I think this is definitely one.
Oh yeah. In comparison to the other cat game, Stray, I've got to say the reaction of our real life cats has been amazing because when the cat meows in Little Kitty Big City, our cats kind of reacted in a quite amusing way. I'll leave it at that. It wasn't bullying, honest.
Well,
It was fun.
it's also going to be a much more appealing game to cat owners than Stray, I think, because of the the very light tone that it's got.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely been made by cat lovers, because a lot of the things that a lot of the discussions that your cat has with other animals are a little bit well, like I say, they could have only been written by people who have lots of experience of real cats.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one interaction where you have an interaction with a cat that's waiting for mealtime, and it refers to the fact that that his tummy clock is not empty yet. That's how he knows it's not tea time yet. And yeah, that's a cat for definite. And I think because it's on Game Pass, it's one that I would definitely recommend that you give a go, especially if you've got an Xbox. I mean, I think it is on PC Game Pass as well. Moving on to the next game, this is one that I know Pad has played. But this is actually also not a brand new release. It's just a brand new release to modern consoles, because the only format I think that it's been available on prior to this was God, I can't remember the name of it now. I've even forgotten about it. The Google thing, whatever it was called.
You had one.
Yeah, I know I did.
I don't remember what it was.
The thing that Google killed. Anyway,
That very memorable console.
Yeah, everyone remembers that one.
Yeah, Stadia. That was it. Yeah. It came out on Google Stadia as a Stadia exclusive, and remained so until that was shut down. And the game has now been released on everything else. This is Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle Chomp Champs, which is a bit of a mouthful. Which is a bit of a mouthful of a title, which is no pun intended, with it being Pac-Man. But it's an online Pac-Man game for 64 players, is it? Like kind of like a battle royale where you can jump into other people's mazes. And with the aim being that you are the last survivor standing. I know Pad has played this one. What did you think of it, Pad?
Now that you've mentioned that it was a Stadia game, I can see why there were so many flaws in it. It's great as a Pac-Man game, fantastic. As a 64 player, okay. I think I preferred the Pac-Man 99, was it?
Pac-Man 99 on the Switch, yeah.
Yeah, I prefer that.
Easy to see why that is.
Yeah, you're not going between all the stupid boards and stuff and seeing what other backgrounds other people have got, which is the only thing I can really see is more appealing on this one. But that's about it.
I think it's obvious that this one isn't developed by Namco themselves, because it's not got the polish that Pac-Man Championship Edition had.
No. So you do your tutorial bit, fine, great. Then it goes into the online battle, and then the frame rate just drops. I can't handle it. It's not an unplayable frame rate. It's as though it drops to about 25, 30 at most. But you've been playing other tutorials at 60. Something doesn't feel right with it. It just feels clunky. I thought.
Yeah, like I say, I think it's because it lacks the polish that you would expect.
Yeah,
I think that's the main problem with it.
So now that you said it was on the Stadia, I can see that, and I could see it being the frame rate of what it was on the Stadia, rather than on an Xbox Series X, which is what I've been playing it on.
And I believe you said, I believe you found it to be incredibly easy as well.
Yes, I think we played, both me and you were on it. I think I played about 10, 12 games, and I lost 2, and you won those 2. We were going to get with other people as well, but we just seemed we were in the same game, and it was ones I didn't win, you won. Well, out of just me and you, there was plenty of other people playing, and so it just seemed easy if it was just me and you that were winning. There was no effort putting into it. In fact, I think one of the games I was having my lunch at the same time and I still won.
And if that doesn't say that a game's too easy, nothing will. So not a game that we recommend then?
No.
Let's move on then. Next game, we have Rainbow Cotton, which came out on the 9th of May. And this is the first time this game has ever been available outside of Japan. It came out on the Dreamcast way back in the year 2000 and has only been available on import ever since. It's one that we received a key for off the publisher. So thank you to them for that. I found this one to be a little bit basic. I mean, it's been compared to both Space Harrier and Panzer Dragoon. It's an into the screen shooter in that style, but it's got nowhere near the depth that those games have. But it is extremely Japanese, very cutesy. So, like I say, with it having only come out on the Dreamcast previously, it's probably been one of those games that's ridiculously expensive to pick up on import. Whereas now it's finally out on other systems, that price has probably dropped, and you can probably pick it up for £20 on a new console. So that at least there is that.
I've not looked to see what it is on Dreamcast now.
I mean the Cotton games in general. I mean, I think this is the 5th one in the series. The Cotton games in general are a little bit basic compared to other shooters. Because the ones that are,
I thought they were quite nice games, though.
Because the ones that are side-scrolling shooters are nowhere near as good as Death Smiles, as a straight comparison.
Yeah.
If you want a game where you're controlling a witch, then play Death Smiles, really. But there's nothing offensive about it. It's not terrible. But it's definitely a product of its time, shall we say. Next up, we have a game called Animal Well, which came out on PlayStation and PC, and Nintendo Switch, I believe, is coming soon. And this is it's a pixel graphics Metroidvania. Reminded me of a game called Rain that came out about 5 years ago on the PlayStation that I didn't like. But Animal Well is a game that I do like. It's very, very good. It's not a game that holds your hand, so it never tells you where you have to go. You just kind of have to explore and work it all out for yourself. In a nice touch, you can mark the map yourself with icons so that you know where you might be able to use something after you've picked up an ability later, that kind of thing. And it's got lots of really nice particle effects, like that light up the screen all over the place. There are sections of the game where you can't really see a lot until you detonate like a firecracker, and that will then light up a corner of the screen. You go, all right, that's what those platforms are like down there. And if you take away all the special effects in the graphics are very 8-bit in their style, but with all the modern effects on top of it, it does actually look really nice.
But are you enjoying playing it?
I am, yes, but I have reached a point where I am completely stuck at the moment. I've got like the whole thing of it not telling you where to go has kind of come back to bite it in the arse at the moment, because I've got to a point where I'm just traipsing back and forth, not really knowing what to do next. But I'm sure I will find out where I've got to go at some point. And it's because it's a game that's given away with PlayStation Plus. I've not had to buy it at full price either, so that was quite nice as well. But that's the end of all the games that came out on the 9th of May. Like every single game that we've spoken about so far all came out on the same day. So that was a very busy day. Next up, nothing else came out until the 21st of May after that, like a good 2 weeks later, almost. And this is Senua's Saga Hellblade II, the long-awaited sequel that's been in development for about 7 or 8 years now, from Ninja Theory. The original Hellblade was our game of the year, or my personal game of the year, in 2017, I think. Was it when it came out?
Oh, jeez. That was quite a while ago.
It came out 9 months before the original God of War, and God of War got all the praise for everything that Hellblade did, which always bugged me. But the fact that I'd liked the original Hellblade as much as I did and played through it twice willingly, when I actually got round to playing God of War, I got bored of God of War very quickly because it felt like a game I'd already played.
So how does the sequel compare in regards to the first game, then?
Well, Hellblade 2 is 100% a graphical showcase for the Xbox. I have not seen any game ever look as good as this one. And if you have a Series X or a PC that's capable of running it, then I would suggest you run it in maximum settings. It's Unreal Engine 5, and it's definitely going to be a demo reel that Epic use for that game engine. In terms of gameplay, it's very similar to the first game, in that it's little bits of combat interspersed with puzzles. The puzzles are not especially difficult, but that doesn't mean that they're not fun to solve. And I don't think the combat is quite as good as it was in the first game, because whereas in the first game you could quite easily be swamped by multiple enemies at a time, and you actually had to work on your positioning, whereas they've changed it so that now every single fight is one-on-one. But it is incredibly cinematic in the way that every time you defeat one person, the transition to the next person that you're fighting it really makes you feel like you are in the middle of a big fight with multiple people fighting on both sides.
I was going to say that from a visual point of view, it does look incredible, and you've been playing it quite a lot as well.
Well, I am. I mean, I'm 6.5 hours in, I think, and I don't feel like I'm anywhere near the end yet. I mean, even though the combat is not as good as the first Hellblade, it's probably the first game since the first Hellblade where I genuinely feel tense during each combat encounter. I don't get that from God of War or from Stellar Blade or anything like that. Playing the combat in Hellblade 2, I genuinely feel tense, and if I get knocked down, I am hammering the A button to try and get up as quickly as possible. For me, I would wholeheartedly recommend somebody play this one, even if I think it is a slight step down in terms of gameplay from the first game. It's definitely a step up in terms of visuals.
I'm just grateful for what I've seen that they've not turned it into a massive open world saga, which I know a few people were worried about in the early days of the announcement of the sequel.
Well, it was always one of those games that you felt didn't need a sequel at the end of it. So when they announced it, you were like, you were thinking to yourself, "Do not mess this up."
Yeah.
And fortunately, they haven't.
Good.
Unlike the next game, which is Xdefiant from Ubisoft, which is a free-to-play arena shooter that's been in development hell for a good 5 or 6 years now, since it was first announced. It was originally announced as Tom Clancy's Xdefiant, but they removed the Tom Clancy part of the name. I don't know if that was requested. or not. But basically, it's free to play, but basically it's a Call of Duty style team-based shooter that is not really my kind of game at all. When it comes to online shooters, I like something to be a little bit more realistic, like Rainbow Six, where once you die, you're out. It's definitely a game that's well made. I mean, the frame rate is consistent. It looks nice, but it's just not really the kind of game that I like. So it's not one that I would recommend. There's a lot of people out there who are very happy that the matchmaking on it isn't skill based, but I've got no idea what that would mean, whether the game's any good or not, because I don't really play these kinds of games. I'll just stick to Rainbow Six. So on to the next game, which is another one that came out on Game Pass. This one is Galacticare, which came out on Steam as well. I think there's also a PlayStation version. And this is probably the easiest way to describe this one is that it's 2 Point Hospital in space.
No, I think it's closer to being a theme hospital in space.
Explain the difference.
Right, theme hospital is the basic concept that you are in charge of a hospital. You build it up. It's amusing type of ailments that you've got to cure. Various things happen. It's still essentially the same, but tweaked victory conditions for each level. With 2 Point Hospital, it's almost like every single level has its own epic victory condition, and even though on paper the concept of each one is essentially the same, you're in charge of a hospital, you've got to build it, make sure it's profitable, and deal with all the different ailments, and they're both amusing. It's still 2 Point Hospital has a lot more to it that sometimes makes it feel a bit bloated and makes you go, okay, you can't just dive, you just can't randomly jump into 2 Point Hospital. It's almost like you've got to prep everything beforehand. So with Galacticare, it's closer to Theme Hospital than it is to 2 Point. It's almost like a happy medium, I would say, but I would put it closer to Theme Hospital.
Well, all I need to know is it as funny as those two games? Because both Theme Hospital and 2 Point were very amusing as you were playing them, and Galacticare looks like it comes close, or certainly from the trailers.
Yeah, it does have its amusing bits. Like it's got the robots, the aliens. There are amusing things of it. I think just as a general rule, it probably isn't as funny as those two games, but it does have their amusements, and it also doesn't have a random receptionist going, announcing their quite annoying voice, even though I'm sure they're quite lovely in real life, voice over a tannoy, just constantly saying the same things over and over again.
It's one I'm very looking forward to playing. I've been messaging Tara about it.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing what she thinks of it first. Because we did the Theme Hospital live stream, didn't we?
Oh yeah, back when it was like Twitch stuff, and helped me build my confidence to do my own streams and things. I've got to say, I'm playing it on console for the first time, because usually I'm always playing these type of games on PC, and the console control pad is not too bad, all things considering. I still prefer it on PC, but it's definitely workable with a joypad. And
does it have mouse support?
I don't know.
One thing I was wondering was if it's got mouse support for the console.
Let me look at the options real quick, because I'm actually playing it right now. Not obviously is the answer to that. It might do, but... Pardon?
Have you got a spare mouse to hand?
No, not at the moment. the last thing I want to say about it is that one of the things that you can
it doesn't say on the it doesn't say on the Xbox website that it's compatible with a mouse and keyboard.
Probably the answer is no then. Sorry. One of the last things I will say about the game, though, is that it's just got this little feature where bugs come into your hospital and you've got to click on them to make them squish, and some of them are very satisfying because they just explode into goop.
Is it as satisfying as in Arcade Paradise when your arcades get bugs?
No, but that's on a completely different level. This is just like a little side thing. On Arcade Paradise, you just like hunt them down. But either way, Galacticare would recommend.
And then for the and let's move on. Let's move on to the final game of this month, then, which came out only yesterday, as we're recording this. This is the final full release of Multiversus, which is the multiplayer free-to-play fighting game that somehow managed to win Best Fighting Game at the Game Awards in 2022, despite the fact that it was only in early access. But like I said, the final release has come out now. It's a Smash Brothers style fighting game full of Warner Brothers characters from various cartoons and movies and TV shows, all in like similarly themed backgrounds. It's very nicely polished. It's nicely polished. It's easy to play. The biggest problem is that it's like Smash Brothers, because I've never really liked Smash Brothers, and I don't think you've really liked it either, have you, Pad?
No. I don't know why either. I just cannot put my finger on to why I don't like Smash Brothers. But I just got no interest in it.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. It's like if I like my fighting,
I can understand why people love it.
Yeah, I like my fighting games to be ones where you knock people out. I don't. On Smash Brothers, you're hitting people to make a number go up rather than down, and that just confuses me. It confuses my poor little brain as I'm playing it, and just makes me just makes me not enjoy it. But I mean, well, what did Smash Bros. Come out on first? N64, was it?
Yeah.
Was that the first one? I didn't like it back then either.
No.
When we were the correct age to enjoy it, by your definition.
I don't know. I'm still an IK plus.
So Multiverse is very well made, and I'm sure there are lots of people out there that do like it. I mean, it wouldn't have won awards otherwise. But it's a Smash Brothers clone, and I'm not interested in a Smash Brothers clone. If it was the same people that had made Injustice and put lots of Warner Brothers characters into a game like that, I'd be all over that. And I think you would as well, wouldn't you, Pad?
Probably.
Especially if it had the fatalities.
Yeah.
Do we even need to wonder what Mr. Meeseek's fatality is going to be like?
Oh God, no!
Yes. On that note, we will end this month's video. What would be your game of the month, Teru?
Galacticare, since I've finally stopped playing Final Fantasy Rebirth.
And Pad, what game do you want to play the most out of this month's offerings?
I want to play Galacticare the most, but I can't recommend it because I've not played it. The only one I have played this month is Pac-Man, and I don't recommend it.
And I think, my favourite game of the month is definitely Hellblade 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's it. That's it for May 2024. Next month is looking very thin on the ground for new releases, but we do have the Summer of Gaming Showcase and the Xbox Showcase coming, so there might be some new games to talk about. Let's see how we get on, and we'll be back at the end of June to talk about all that. So thank you both for joining me, and I will see you next month.